This past week saw the release of the first episode, the launch, the premiere of LEGO Masters in the US. Now, this is not a new property. This is actually a show that was developed over in the UK and then brought over to Australia before it came up to American television. Now, I've watched some of the British production. I thought it was okay, but the Australian version of LEGO Masters, that was a real treat. And that's actually something that I've gone back and rewatched, which I don't typically do with a lot of reality competition shows. Let me back up a little bit. Reality competition shows. My wife and I watch a lot of reality competition shows. We're big fans of programs that use art or display art in a competitive setting. That is, shows like Face Off, rest in peace, were a huge favorite around here. We loved that show. Anytime we got to see artists at the top of their game doing something in a reality show setting, it was just awesome because it was like one long game show. And we got to see a lot of really cool art, whether it's makeup in Face Off or fashion or interior design or anything like that. It's just a lot of fun to watch. And I like to think I'm a creative person, so I always find something to take away from these shows to inspire what I'm doing. So when I heard about LEGO Masters, I knew I had to track it down and give it a watch. LEGO. Man, I loved playing with LEGO as a kid. It was one of my favorite toys outside of my Star Wars action figures, which sometimes I would combine with my LEGO, although I have more memory of mixing G.I. Joe figures with LEGO, and I don't know why that is. It just was what I did. I'd make spaceships and weapons that G.I. Joe figures would fit in and do all the swooshing and shooting and LEGO stuff. Anyway, I love LEGO. For a long time, though, I was out of it. I was having what is sometimes referred to in the AFOL community as a dark age, where I had a lot of memory of playing with LEGO as a kid and then got away from it as I got older, developed new hobbies, lost interest in LEGO, that sort of. For whatever reason, I just kind of stopped playing with my LEGO. And I actually kind of got rid of it all over the years. Now, I've made up for lost time. I'm back in it now. I've joined a local LEGO user group. I've got a number of LEGO sets here, some classics, some newer stuff, and a whole bunch of LEGO pieces and bricks that I've been playing with. And I'm actually working on a couple of mocks right now for Bricks Cascade, which is a big convention that's happening at the end of February that I'll probably bring my camera to, so stay tuned for more information about that. Anyway, I've gotten really into LEGO again. It's been a lot of fun to revisit LEGO and explore all the new pieces, all the new colors, all the new sets. Back when I was working with LEGO or playing with LEGO as a kid, they didn't have a Star Wars license or Harry Potter or any of these things that you now see when it comes to LEGO. Lord of the Rings? No, not at all. All you had was the homegrown brands or franchises, I guess, within the LEGO group. And what I played with the most as a kid was the LEGO space sets. This particular LEGO space set is one that I have very strong memory of playing with as a kid and building and working, and just, it was so much fun to mess with and play with, and I miss it, actually. I don't have that set now. However, what's really cool is that LEGO itself, and if not LEGO, some of these other companies, will actually post PDFs or scans of the older instruction books. So I have the instructions for this set, and I have enough pieces. One of these days I may try to rebuild that set just using the instructions because, well, I miss that space set. The space set minifigures I don't have, but that's another story. I'll talk about the space minifigures and Spaceman Benny from the LEGO movie in a future installment of this YouTube series. But what I'm really hoping to do here is just talk a little bit about LEGO Masters US. I had so much fun watching this show, and my wife and I actually viewed it as kind of like appointment television so many times. When it comes to these series, we like to let a handful of episodes build up so we can just kind of binge them or, kind of get to it the next day or so. Wednesday night, my wife and I were there. We waited a few minutes so we could fast forward through the commercials on our DVR, but we were there to see the first episode, and I really dug it. I am so happy that the US version of LEGO Masters seems to take more inspiration from the Australian version of the show versus the British version of the show. Not that the British version was bad, it just didn't have the vibe that I responded to as well as I did with the Australian program. The Australian program seemed, it's just a hominess to it, more friendly, I suppose. It just seemed celebratory in a way that the British version seemed a little kind of zany and out there. I don't know. Do you have a preference between the British and the Australian version? Let me know in the comments down below. Or maybe you just like the US version the best, even though we've only seen one episode. Now, I have a vested interest in this. Well, maybe not vested, but a bias interest in this episode, in this series, because some hometown favorites are actually in the program. Boone and Mark are Oregonians. They're Portland guys. They're from this area, and I've met both of them. I met Mark briefly at the last Portlug meeting that I went to, but Boone actually is one of the guys that helped me get back into Lego as an AFOL. I met him, as well as a handful of other people, at the Portlug display at Rose City Comic Con last year. And Boone was super cool. Boone's got a YouTube channel. In fact, I'm going to make sure there's a link to his YouTube channel in the description or the notes down below. And I highly recommend you check it out. He does some really cool stuff, and he also has a weekly series that he's doing now that spotlights different adults in the Lego community. Recommended. Thumbs up. Check it out. Let him know that I sent you over there. And if you like what you see, well, then definitely watch Lego Masters, because Boone and Mark are there. And if the first episode is any indication, seems like we're going to see a lot of Boone and Mark's amazing designs. I'm going to be completely honest here. I thought their design in the first episode was top notch. It was my absolute favorite, and not just because I'm biased, not just because they made sure they represented Oregon in the Portland area, but I really enjoyed what they did. The contest this time around was to create a theme park attraction, the Dream Park theme park, and each team, and they are teams of 2, each team would go off and build their own little part of the theme park, and at the end of the episode, they'd bring them back together. Now, they had 15 hours to build. They didn't shoot all in one day, all one 15-hour stretch. That's madness. From what I understand, they shot over the course of 3 days, and there were often times that they were building that there was nobody wandering around interviewing them, distracting them, that sort of thing. So they did have some solid build time. It just looks like one long stretch because of editing and television. That's how reality TV works. And unfortunately, it meant that the builders all had to wear the same clothes 3 days in a row, but, you do what you do for television, right? Anyway, we saw some really cool builds, saw some really neat roller coaster designs. I really liked the spooky haunted house world. I would have liked to have spent more time there. The team that did win, kudos to them. Spoiler alert, Boone and Mark didn't, but I have to believe that if there wasn't a problem, and I don't want to get too into it, but I really would like to believe that they would have won. I think the fact that they were not in the bottom 2, again, spoiler, despite the fact that they had a malfunction, speaks to the quality of their build and what the judges thought of their ability and their talent. Something that I liked about this particular version, or this iteration of Lego Masters, is there is a sense of Hollywood production to it. So many times in the first episode alone, we saw the entire theme park or build display area with its own unique background. Like it was shot against a green screen, even though we know it wasn't. There's like this computer generated background behind it, which was really kind of cool. And for a couple of the builds, as we were seeing them at the end of the show, they actually went in Lego movie style and animated their scenes or their sets. And I thought that was a neat touch as well. I don't understand the rhyme or reason behind which theme park attractions they animated versus the ones they didn't. I'm going to assume that it's just going to be a random thing, and that as the show progresses, more of them will see animated in this way. We'll find out. As a reality TV show, I think this one really worked. There was a moment that could have been what my wife and I refer to as fake drama for a lot of these shows, and it typically happens when there's a problem in the competition, whether the competitors or the builders, or there's some sort of disaster that happens, and we go to commercial break because, cliffhanger, and then when we come back, well, it wasn't that big of a deal anyway. It was just a manufactured cliffhanger to keep people watching. However, in this case, the fake drama turned out to be real drama. I appreciated that. Also, the host, Will Arnett, man, the guy knocked it out of the park. Now, I like the guy on Lego Masters Australia a lot, and I really liked his interaction, his chemistry with that show's judge, Brickman. I don't know if the chemistry between Will Arnett and the 2 judges on this show is going to be the same. Obviously, it's going to be a little bit different. It's a different guy and all that, but I almost feel like Will Arnett watched, or at least was briefed on, the Australian version of the show, because so many of the jokes and the comments that he was making and just his approach, his attitude, felt very reminiscent of Hamish's attitude from Lego Masters Australia. So that was kind of nice. I am looking forward to the rest of this season. I really hope Boone and Mark make it to the end. Obviously, they can't talk about it in the Portlug meetings. They're not allowed to, signed NDAs and that sort of thing, and I get that. But what I do appreciate is that on Facebook, after every episode, they're doing kind of an impromptu Ask Me Anything where if they can answer questions about the episode, they will, and it's been really eye-opening. A few of the other contestants have as well, and, you know, the talent here, really good. And the personalities, I really enjoy the interplay. There is a father-son team that I really enjoyed watching and kind of was heartbroken when their build had a problem as well. What is really cool, though, is that nobody went home this time around. Much like in the Australian version of the show, they introduced this golden brick, which is kind of like a immunity idol, so to speak. Gets you out of a challenge, keeps you safe. And that's what they were playing for this time around. I was actually a little worried because about halfway through the show, some of the contestants started talking about being in the bottom two. And I was like, I didn't think they were playing for an elimination. So I was really worried there. Again, fake drama worked really, really well for this reality show, and I hope it continues to deliver. Either way, I'm going to be there every Wednesday night watching the show. What did you think of LEGO Masters? How did it compare to LEGO Masters UK or Australia? Do you have a favorite team, a favorite build, or what would you have built to be part of the Dreamland Themeland Challenge? Let me know in the comments down below. My name is Derek M. Cook, and this is the first episode, the first YouTube video ever for the brand new It's Pronounced Cook YouTube channel. Now, I'm not just going to be talking about LEGO here. I'm going to be talking about everything that I'm into that's not classic monster movie related, because I do that over on Monster Kid Radio, which you can find at monsterkidradio.net. Again, links in the comments and the descriptions down below. And if you're in the Portland, Oregon area, I recommend you look up Portlug. I'd love to meet you, and I'd love to talk with you about LEGO.